I read 10 books in June, so let's talk about them. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Alyssa, and today we are going to be talking about the 10 books that I read in June. I love a monthly wrap-up, and I'm super excited to talk about the books that I read this month. I did manage to get to all of the books that I picked in my TBR jar video for June, so if you guys want to see which of the books I'm talking about today were ones that I had picked in that video, then you can go check out that video. I did not give out any 5 stars this month, which is kind of sad, but I did read a lot of books that I enjoyed, and also I read some books in June that had been on my TBR for a very long time, so I'm really excited that I finally got to those books. So yeah, 10 books in June. Let's just get started and talk about them. The first book I read in June was Game On by Navessa Allen. This is the third book in the Into Darkness series, and I was kind of scared to go into this one. I loved Lights Out, but then the second book I didn't really like. I think I might have given it like 2 stars or something. So I was kind of nervous to go into the third book. And while I will say I did like it a lot more than the second book, I still didn't love it. Honestly, I had moments where I was really into it, and then I had moments where I was not super enjoying it. So this was kind of difficult for me to rate. I ended up giving it 3.75 stars because I still did enjoy it. There were just some parts that were like a little, I didn't like them as much. So I thought 3.75 was fair because I did still get a lot of enjoyment out of the book. Also, I did listen to the audiobook, which I think helps because the audiobook was very well done. I feel like all 3 of the books, like the audiobook was really good. I do love a good duet narrated audiobook, so that definitely helped. The second book I read in June is Tropesick. This is a very new release. I got an e-arc for it, so I read the book before it came out, but the book is out now. Tropesick is about Katie and Tyler. They were like childhood neighbors slash friends, and they end up not speaking for years after they experience a shared tragedy. And then they end up being unexpectedly brought back together to ghostwrite a romance novel for like a famous author. Something I really loved about this book is how the fictional book that they are writing together mirrors their romance in like real life. Another thing I liked was the use of tropes, because I mean the book is called Tropesick. You know tropes are going to play some sort of role in a book, but I feel like they were chosen and incorporated very purposefully rather than just having tropes for the sake of having tropes. The book also talks about grief and addiction, but I feel like both topics were handled with a lot of care. The characters felt very real and human in my opinion. There's also a really crazy twist at the end that I was not expecting, and I feel like with a twist like that, it's either going to be hit or miss for people. But for me it was a hit. I actually really liked the twist at the end. And I think another reason why I love the book so much is actually the author's writing style. It felt just like so beautiful. Like I don't know how to describe it. This author just really had a way with words, and I really enjoyed the writing. It really like pulled me through the entire book. So I ended up giving the book 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and if you haven't heard of it and you haven't read it, then I highly recommend you give it a shot. Next I read Wait for It by Mariana Zapata. I've read a few of her books before and I really liked them, and I'm trying to like go through her books in the correct reading order because I know there are some like cameos that other characters make throughout the books. So Wait for It was next on my list, and it had been a while since I'd read a Mariana Zapata book. I don't know why I waited so long, but I really enjoy her books. I love the slow burn, honestly. Like I feel like Mariana Zapata is the queen of slow burns. So if you're not super into slow burns, then maybe don't read her books, but I really enjoyed them, and I feel like she does a really good job with building up the characters and their feelings for each other in a very real and like natural way. I also really loved the relationships in the book, like the relationship between Diana and her 2 nephews, who, I mean, she's like basically their mother, she's their guardian, and then also the relationship of the kids with the love interest. I loved Dallas, and seeing how he interacted with these 2 kids, it was just so cute. I ended up giving this book 4 stars, and I highly recommend it to anyone who is into slow burn books. Definitely check it out and check out Mariana Zapata's books. Of the ones I read, I remember I really liked Culty and The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. I think those were my favorites of the ones that I've read by her so far. But I'm very excited to continue my Mariana Zapata journey. Then I read The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. I had been hearing so much about this book. A lot of people were talking about it, so I decided to listen to the audiobook because I had heard that people were mixed on if you should like read the book or listen to the book. So I decided to listen to it. I gave it 3.5 stars. I get why people like it. However, I don't know if it was the format of the whole thing being written through letters or just like the plot in general just wasn't for me. But I didn't enjoy it as much as other people did, which is sad. I'm so glad I read it. And I did like that every character had a different narrator, so I feel like the audiobook probably was the move for me. Like 3.5 stars is still pretty good. I just didn't love it as much as everyone else did. The next book I read in June, I actually have the physical copy for, and it is Our Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune. I mean, I've talked about Carly Fortune's books on my channel before. Y'all know I'm a fan of her books. And while this one was not my favorite, I still did really enjoy it. I'm honestly always a sucker for childhood friends to lovers romance, and I thought that aspect of this book was done really well. Also, the summer setting was like perfect. Like summer is the perfect time to read this book, so I'm glad I picked it up when I did. There were a few things that frustrated me about the book, particularly the miscommunication, and I felt like Frankie was like kind of oblivious at times, but still that didn't take too much away from my overall enjoyment of the book. And I will say, when George and Frankie finally get together, it is very satisfying and it's really cute. So yeah, I thought this was a fun summery romance. If you're looking for a summer read, I definitely would recommend this one. I actually did post a summer reads recommendation video on my channel, so if you're interested in looking for more summer reads, then you can check out that video. I do talk about Our Perfect Storm in that video as well. I will link that video down below. But yeah, I did like this book. I gave it 4 stars. Next one is another book that had been on my TBR for years, and I don't know why I haven't read it until now, but I'm really glad I did, and it's Scythe. Like I said, it's really been on my TBR for a long time, and there was no particular reason that I hadn't read it up until this point. It just, I guess, wasn't as much of a priority, but I decided to finally read it, and I actually really enjoyed it. I thought the plot and the concept of the book was super interesting, like a world that has conquered death to the point where people just don't die, but because of that overpopulation, they then have to get people to kill people to deal with that overpopulation problem. So the people who end up going to kill other people are called scythes. And first of all, I did feel like it was really interesting how the scythes are and like how they're perceived in society. I feel like it was explored really well in the first book and it was really intriguing to me. But then on top of that, you have our 2 POV characters who end up being chosen to become scythe apprentices. So you kind of get to see through them how people become scythes and like what kind of toll that takes on you as a person. I also thought the imbalance of power that scythes have over regular citizens was really interestingly explored. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil anything, but there were a lot of aspects of the story that I really enjoyed, and I'm super excited to read the second book. So I gave it 4 stars. Okay, we're starting to get close to the end of the month now. I recently read this one. I did listen to the audiobook, and the book is Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. I had heard so much about this book when it came out. I know a lot of people really liked it, and I wanted to listen to the audiobook because it's duet narrated, and as I've mentioned, I love a good duet narrated book. And I was also in the mood to read a more summery vibe book. This is another book that I talked about in my summer recommendations video. I talked about it as one of the books on my summer TBR. So I was like, yeah, this is a good time for me to start checking off books from my summer TBR. But I didn't love it, guys, unfortunately. I think maybe the age gap trope is not for me. I don't know. I also felt like the FMC felt a little immature, but I don't know if that's just because of the like age difference between the two of them. I don't know. I didn't really like it very much. I gave it 2.5 stars. I can actually really see how someone would enjoy the book. I think it's just not for me. And I knew I didn't love age gap romances when I went into it, but I do love a good brother's best friend romance. I was like, maybe, you know, brother's best friend will like overshine the age gap. It was the opposite. Not my favorite. I did love the setting though. I really want to visit Italy. So it was nice that it was set in Italy. But yeah, just not for me. Moving on to the next one, which is one that I actually did really enjoy and I have a physical copy of, and it is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. Guys, this book is so good. This is the first Joe Abercrombie book I've ever read, and I do think it was a good one for me to start with and to get introduced to his writing style. I love his writing style. He has such a way of writing descriptions and also writing characters. Like, I feel like each character in the book was super unique, and when you're in their POV, you really get a sense of who that character is. Like, they're all so distinct from each other, if that makes sense. And I thought that was done really well. I really loved the story. I loved the found family. I don't need to say it anymore. You guys know I love found family, and the found family was really good in this one. I was saying to my brother as I was reading this book, it kind of felt like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, at least at the beginning, because it feels like just this crazy group of people who are so different from each other going on an adventure. So that was fun. I honestly really liked it. Also, can we talk about how beautiful this book is? Like, I'm gonna take the dust jacket off so you guys can see. Look at that. That's so pretty. And also there's like art on the insides. I also thought the world was really interesting. Actually, it's so funny that this book also takes place in Italy at parts, like Problematic Summer Romance. Like, I literally read those like sort of simultaneously, and I was like, what a coincidence that both of these are taking place in Italy, but they're so vastly different. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and if you haven't read it yet and you're into fantasy books, like, I would definitely call this a fantasy, not a romantasy. But if you're into that, definitely check this book out because it was really interesting, and I also felt like it was really different than a lot of the fantasy books I've been reading lately, particularly because it takes place in like our world. It's not like a made up fantasy world, so I thought that was cool. So yeah, I really liked this one. We have reached the second to last book that I read in June. It's actually the last book that I finished because the last book is one that I'm currently reading. But yeah, the next book is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. This one was not super at the top of my priority TBR list until the announcement that they were making a movie for it and that Jared Padalecki would be in it. So I was like, okay, I need to read this before that movie comes out. And honestly, I had a really good time reading it. It felt like such a fun and easy read. I really liked the plot of like her being his bodyguard and then them having to fake date so that his family doesn't know that she's a bodyguard. I thought that was like a fun take on the fake dating trope, which is one of my favorite tropes. I also thought the MMC was just so sweet. Like, I loved Jack. He's so cute. Like, I actually loved him. And I really also liked how they explored some of the FMC's insecurities. I really did like both Hannah and Jack as characters, and I thought that they worked really well together as a couple. I wouldn't say it was anything crazy, like anything super special. However, I did really have a good time reading it, and I would recommend it to anyone who's looking for like a fun, easy read. It was really cute. I liked it, and I gave it 4 stars. I was like in between 3.75 stars and 4 stars, but because I rated Game On 3.75 stars, I feel like I liked The Bodyguard more than Game On. So that's why I'm saying 4. But at the same time, I would say it's like I liked The Bodyguard less than some of the other books that I rated 4 stars in this video. Ratings are super confusing, basically, and I'm also super indecisive, so that doesn't help. Anyway, the last book, and the book I'm currently reading, is 86 Volume 9. Like I always say in these monthly wrap-up videos, I do pre-film these videos before the end of the month, so I will be finishing this before June ends. However, I don't want to give you guys a rating yet because I haven't finished it. So currently, I'm like almost halfway through. It's not super long too, which is nice. Like, I can probably get through it pretty quickly. I'm liking it so far. I feel like I've liked every single 86 book I've read. Like I said, I loved the anime so much, and so I decided to read the light novels so I could continue the story because I don't know if we're ever getting a second season. It's not looking very likely. So yeah, it's always just nice reading an 86 book, and it feels like I'm just like reuniting with all these characters that I love. And also, going off of the way Volume 8 ended, I was really excited to start this one. So yeah, I am enjoying it so far. I don't have a rating, but I am really liking it so far. Okay, that was a lot of talking. There was a book that I was really hoping to get to this month that I did not read, and that's Shield of Sparrows. I was really hoping to read it in June, but that did not happen. So I'm really hoping to read it in July now. I actually, on my Instagram, I posted a like July hopefuls post so you can see the books that I'm hoping to get to in July. I usually pick 8 books to put on that post, and 5 of them them are books that I picked in my TBR jar video, which if you guys want to see what books I picked for my July TBR, that video is up, so you can go check that out on my channel, and I'll link it in the description as well. I picked some very exciting books in that video, by the way. Some books that I'm like really excited to get to, so looking forward to that for sure. But yeah, like I was saying, Shield of Sparrows, I feel like I'm the only one who hasn't read this book, so I need to read it in July. But overall, I feel like this was a good reading month. 10 books is kind of impressive for me considering how busy I am. The Devils was also kind of long, which is I think why I didn't get to Shield of Sparrows. Like I was kind of hoping that I would finish The Devils earlier than I did, but that's okay. I will read it in July, hopefully. Comment down below if you've read any of the books I talked about in this video, and let me know your rating and what you thought of them. Also let me know what books are on your July TBR. And that's gonna bring us to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you did, and I will see you guys in the next one.